right. Here's what I would tell you. I used to, in my studio, if someone wanted to do a teapot, I did not want to have to dip a teapot. And to get the inside, the nozzle, everything coated. So I would roll the inside of my teapots in my studio, put the lid on them. Very few people paint the inside of their teapots. So I would have them pre-rolled and dry. And so when you go to dip it, put your fingers inside the teapot and dip it. And if a little goes over the edge, so what? But you're not trying to figure out how to get that whole teapot in there. And while you're doing that, it's getting very thick. And you're in there too long. Something like this, I would even dip that and have it done ahead of time. So that all I have to do is go in. So, to roll. Gotta have something to stir this.
Do you need another cup to pour it back into?
Yeah, I'll live dangerous today. Rolling is something you roll one time. You do not roll 2 times or 3 times. You roll once. You get off where you're quiet. There's not anybody around. You don't have to answer the phone. Because when you roll, this piece of bisque is absorbing everything out of that dipping glaze, or if that's what you're using, or if you actually have bought a brushing glaze, which we manufacture also, and it's pulling it to the outside. So what you're going to do is you're not going to pour in a little bit and then go, "Hi, Linda, what have you been doing?" Because that stuff's sitting in there and it's just getting thicker and thicker. It's pulling the moisture. So what you want to do is pour more than you need. You don't want to pour a little bit and then roll it around, pour a little bit more, roll it around, pour a little. Because then at the bottom you've got 30 coats. Okay? So you're going to pour it in. And then you are literally going to, while you're sitting there, oh God, I haven't done this for years.
James is wearing it already.
Oh, I'm going to kill Krista for giving me this. And you're going to roll it around. And it's a continuous motion. And I'm going to just let it come right over the edge because of the way this cup is made.
Is that Brilliance?
This is pure Brilliance.
Yay. That is so thin.
No, I just went out there and added water.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
It's not right.
I was gonna say.
Oh, I keep wanting to get into that. Oh, here. I got too many different things. I got alcohol in front of me, water in front of me. Okay.
Don't get thirsty.
Now, here's another thing, or else I'll get drunk before the last class. Whenever you dipped this piece, if you've dipped it, a lot of you guys, or your people that are dipping for you, have a real bad habit of doing this and going to the next item. What happens is if you turn this up while it's still wet inside, all the excess glaze is going right to the bottom. And that's what causes you to get crawling down at the bottom of your pieces. Anybody had that?
Never.
What's crawling?
Crawling is where the color crawls away and leaves bisque.
It looked like if you're putting it around, if there's words written, there's like a little.
No,
Yeah,
just
spot.
it's too thick so it pulls away when it fires.
Okay. Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Sometimes.
that's what happens. If you sit something upright while it's still moving, see, that's dry in there. See? So I can set it up all day long. If I would have turned it up, if you notice, I kept it this way. That allowed all the excess to get out and not go back in the bottom. Because if it collected in the bottom of this cup, I guarantee you the bottom of this cup is going to crawl. Okay? So that's that's how to roll glaze. You can use dipping glaze to roll, but the difference is you need to thin it slightly. So you need to keep some over that you can thin. It's a little bit too thick to roll. It's got a different viscosity. It's a design to put on more glaze than the rolling. So you can also roll, we have color glazes. You could roll, there's a lot of things. You could roll black. We can make a black that's absolutely gorgeous. You could roll it on the inside if you're doing something special in your studio. There's so many options that you have other than just clear glaze.
Can you
But-
paint? Can you tint that
Yes,
glaze?
you could. Yes, you could tint it with one of the concepts.
You just put the color in there. That's all you do.
But then you'd have to get rid of that. You'd only do enough to do that whatever you were doing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You can always, because these are all non-toxic, they can all be intermixed. You can take 2 of these colors and make a color, it won't hurt it. I mean, the problem is your customer will say, I need one more flour. Well, you better make sure that they mixed it by using something to measure it out and used a fourth of a teaspoon and a fourth of a teaspoon. And then I used to have my customers do that. They drag their sofa into my place and say, I want to match that. So we'd sit down and match up their color for them. But they either made 6.5 pounds of color and they wanted one thing, or they used a little bit and wanted a lot. So I learned to make them measure. I had a measuring cup set that I kept, or a teaspoon. And I would have them, if they were gonna mix, don't care, mix whatever you wanna mix, I'm right with you, but let's do a fourth and a half, or whatever you need, so that we can get back to it. So,
What colors absolutely cover over other colors? There's a few that do, but
almost
a lot
all of them, if you're going light, and you can go brights and darks will go over. The worst colors are your darks, obviously, but if you're using like Delft blue, which is if you're using stroke and coat, that's moody blue. David and I talked about that the other day. You know, invariably your customer sits down and paints the whole plate navy blue, we'll just say dark blue,
right.
midnight blue.
right.
And then they go, oh, by the way, I would like to have a moon.
Yeah.
Yellow stars.
Yellow stars. So what you can do is you can take, we have a color called white.
244.
244, not
Okay,
241.
Right.
And you put a coat to 2 coats of white down, and you can put 1 coat of yellow,
Okay.
and it'll hold.
Yeah.
Because what you've done now is blocked out with the white. White is the most opaque color that is manufactured. Yellow is the most translucent color. Yellow will cover nothing.
Right.
It will always show through what's underneath it.
Right.
So yellow, you always, if you're going to use yellow and they want to put yellow over it, then you always start with the base white, and that'll get you back where you need to be. And a lot of times with a coat, depends on how much of a coat they put on. A coat or 2 coats of the 244, then you can put 1 of yellow or even 2, and you're still fine.
You know what I found too is let them take like a toothpick or something and scrape the paint back off of it and then paint back in. If you have somebody that has a steady hand.
And the
If
other
you don't
thing
have a
is
steady hand, it
sometimes
doesn't
with those really dark colors, they've already bled down into the biz.
Yeah.
And
You can
sometimes
still-
it
but it looks
comes,
better if you put your white and then your other stuff on
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah.
It still does, but
Right.
but it just gives you that much
Yeah.
more to
Yeah.
work with. As far
but
as-
that's one thing that you can do.
Okay.
The white, that 244 is the most opaque white on the
Yeah.
market.